turning 5,000 rupees into 3.5 crores. One young man stock market adventure. Chapter 1st. Sunil was born in a small town in Rajasthan called Suryanagar. It wasn't a city where tall gas building touched the clouds. Here, the tallest building was the old post office with its fading yellow paint. Life was slow, predictable, and quiet. Sunil family lived in a small two-bedroom house in a narrow lane. The walls had cracked from the summer heat. The fan in the room were more noise than wind. His father Mohanlal worked as a clerk in the local government office. He was a serious man who believed in discipline, saving, and the rule that money does not grow trees. His mother, Kamla, was the heart of the home, always cooking simple meals, keeping the house clean, and reminding Sunil to eat on time. His younger sister, Anu, was 15 years old, still in the school and full of dreams about becoming a doctor one day. Sunil was 22, fresh out of the college with a degree in commerce. He was neither a topper nor a failure, just an average student who passed his exams without trouble. But the problem was, after graduation, jobs didn't came knocking at his door. For the first few months after college, he applied for various jobs, small accounting firms, local shops, even a call center in the nearby city. Some never replied, some rejected him, and few called him for interviews and led to nothing. He could have taken 12,000 per month job at a stationery store, but something inside told him I was not born to spend my life writing bills or pens and notebooks. In the evening, Sunil would meet his friends at a tea stall called Chai Junction. It was a small shop with plastic chairs, two wooden benches, and the smell of ginger tea in the air. This tea stall was more than a shop. It was where gossips, politics, and the dreams mixed in the air like the steam from hot cups. One evening, as Sunil stirred sugar into his tea, his friend Ramesh arrived, full of excitement. "Brother, do you know my cousin made 20,000 in just 2 days?" Ramesh said, almost shouting. Sunil raised an eyebrow. "Doing what? Selling gold? Robbing a bank?" Sunil questioned. No, in stock market." Ramesh leaned forward as if he was sharing a secret. "He bought some shares and sold them after they went up in the price. Easy money." Sunil laughed. "If it was so easy, why isn't everyone rich? Why are we still sitting here drinking 10 rupees tea?" Ramesh smiled in a mysterious way. "Because people don't know when to buy and when to sell. But if you learn it, brother, you can make a lot." That night, Sunil lay in a bed, staring at the ceiling. He could hear the faint sound of cricket outside. 20,000 in 2 days. The thought was like to a bright light in the dark tunnel. He imagined buying new clothes, helping his parents, maybe even traveling to Jaipur or Mumbai. But another voice inside whispered, "Be careful. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it." The next morning, Sunil switched off his old laptop. It was slow and took almost 5 minutes to start, but he didn't care. He typed in Google, "How to earn money in stock market in India." Hundreds of results appeared. Some articles used big words like market volatility and intraday trading strategies. Sunil didn't understand half of it. He switched to YouTube and searched in Hindi. That's when the thing started to make sense. He watched videos explaining what a share is, a small part of company that you can own. If the company grows and earns more profit, the value of share can also increase. He learned about something that is called a demat account. It was like a bank account, but instead of holding money, it held share in digital form. Without a demat account, you couldn't buy or sell shares. The more videos Sunil watched, the more curious he became. He saw big companies like TCO, Infosys, Reliance, etc. He was amazed to learn that ordinary people could even earn more than a small piece. But then he stumbled upon a video that peoples are losing lakhs and crores in the market. One man cried about how he lost his entire saving in one bad decision. Sunil felt a chill run down his spine. That evening, he mentioned it at a dinner. Papa, I am thinking about investing in stock market. His father stopped eating, looked at him as if he had said to wanted become a magician. Stock market, that's gambling, Sunil. I have seen people losing everything there. You better focus on finding a real job. His mother quietly added, your father is right. We can't afford to lose money. Sunil didn't argue. He just nodded and kept quiet. But deep inside, he decided, I will at least try. Sunil found an online book broker that allowed people to open a demand account for free. They didn't require a big deposit, which was perfect from him. He filled out the online forms, uploaded his Aadhaar card and PAN card, and even took a selfie as part of the process. It took 5 days for his account to be approved. When the confirmation email arrived, he felt like he had just received the keys to the new world. But now came the hard part. Which share to buy first? For the next few days, he sat in the front of the laptop watching the numbers go up and down. It felt like watching the heart monitor in the hospital. Some stocks jumped 10 rupees in few hours. Others dropped 15 rupees just as quickly as possible. After a week of observation, Sunil decided to buy 10 shares of company called XYZ Steel at 480 rupees each. It cost him 4,800 rupees, almost all of his saving of 5,000 rupees. The moment he clicked buy, he felt a rush of excitement. He owned a part of real company. The next day, the price dropped to 470. His heart sank. I've lost 100 rupees in one day. For the next 3 days, the price kept falling. 468, 465, 460. Sunil started having trouble in sleep. He kept refreshing the app and phone, watching this money sink. One night, feeling frustrated, Sunil searched on YouTube. Why do stock prices go down? He found a video of an old investor named Mr. Sharma. Young man, Mr. Sharma said, looking into the camera, the market is not a place to get rich quickly. It's a place where patience is your best friend. If you panic, you lose. If you stay calm, you trust your research and you win. Sunil decided to hold his share instead of selling at loss. He read about XYZ Steel and discovered the company was planning a big expansion. 2 weeks later, the price started rising slowly. 465, 470, 480 and 490. One morning, it touched 505. Sunil quickly sold 10 shares and he had made profit of 250 rupees. It wasn't much, but it felt like gold. That day, Sunil learned 2 things. Don't panic when prices drop. Small profits are better than losses. Over the next 3 months, Sunil made many small trades. Sometimes he earned 500 rupees, sometimes he lost 200 rupees. He treated every trade as a learning experience. He learned about news impact, how company results, government policies, or even a CEO speech could change prices. He learned to read simple charts, noticing patterns in price movement. One day, he came across a quote. In the stock market, your mind is your biggest enemy and your greatest weapon. Sunil realized this was more about controlling emotion than predicting numbers. After months of practice, Sunil had grown his capital from 5,000 to 7,000. Then he heard about a small tech company launching a new project. Experts were predicting a price rise. Sunil bought 50 shares at 140 each at a total of 7,000. He promised himself he would sell if only it reaches at 160. For days, the price moved slowly 141, 142, 146. Then good news hit. The company product was a success. The price jumped to 165 in one day. Sunil sold immediately, making the profit of 1250, his biggest win yet. That night, as he lay down in bed, Sunil thought, if I can do with this 7,000, what if I had 70,000? By the end of this year, Sunil had turned 5,000 into 11,000. Not enough to change his life, but enough to prove to himself that this is possible. He knew bigger challenges were coming, and he had no idea who thought they would be. The journey of 3.5 crores had just begun. Sunil had ended his first year in the market with 11,000. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was proof that he could win. What began a curiosity was now turning into a serious habit. Every morning, while others read about the newspaper for cricket or politics, Sunil's eyes went straight to the business section. He wanted to know which companies are rising and which are falling and why they are falling. At the chai stall, his friends still laughed at him. Brother, all this share market stuff is risky, one of them said. Come join me in my uncle's hardware shop. At least you will get a fixed salary. Sunil smiled and shook his head. Thanks, but I am building something bigger. Just wait what I see. In this heart, he knew that if he wanted to grow faster, he had to increase his capital. But where would he get extra capital? Sunil began taking small freelance accounting jobs for shopkeepers. He prepared GST returns, maintained ledgers, and earned 200 to 300 per day. He didn't spend a single rupee on himself. No new clothes, no snacks outside. Every bit of extra money went into his trading account. By the end of 3 months, his account had 20,000 rupees. It was the first time he had such a big amount to invest. But with the big money come big fear. What if he lost it all in a one wrong trade? His first big trade with 20,000 was in the company called Green Energy Ltd. The news channel were calling it the next big thing in the renewable energy. Sunil bought 100 shares at 200 rupees each. 2 days later, the price fell to 185. He decided to average down and bought more 20 shares. But next day, bad news came. The company's project had been delayed. The stock crashed to 160. Sunil felt sick. He lost 4,800 rupees in less than a week. It was the first time he saw red numbers so big in his portfolio. For 2 days, he couldn't eat properly. He didn't tell his parents. He didn't go to the tea stall. He stayed in his room, replying the decision in the head. I trusted the news without checking properly, he told himself. That loss became his first big lesson. Don't invest blindly on the hype. After that loss, Sunil changed his approach. He started reading company annual reports. He learned to check debt levels, profit margins, and future plans. At first, it was boring. The number and terms felt like another language. But slowly, he began to see patterns. Companies with strong profits and low debt usually grew steadily. Those with high debt often struggled when the economy slowed. One evening, while reading about the company called Star Economics, he noticed that its profit had gone for 5 straight years. The price was 250 rupees and the company had just announced a new contract with foreign client. Sunil bought 40 shares within a month. The price climbed up to 300 rupees and he sold, making a 2000 rupees profit. The profit wasn't huge, but it restored his confidence. Sunil's parents still didn't understand what he was doing. One night at dinner, his father said, Sunil, you're wasting your time. You could have been earning 15,000 a month now. Marriage proposals will start coming soon, and we can't tell people that our son is playing in a share market. His mother added softly, Beta, it's not that we don't trust you. We just worry. What if you lose everything? Sunil took a deep breath. Papa, I am not gambling. I am learning a skill. This can give me more than a salary ever could. Just give me 2 years. His father don't reply, but the silence at the table was enough. They were not convinced. One day, Sunil read about a mid-sized company called Blue Tech Industries. It was the manufacturing sector and the government had just announced a policy favoring that industry. The stock was at 320 rupees. Many analytics predicted it could reach 400 rupees in a month. Sunil had 28,000 rupees in his account by now. After hours of thinking, he decided to go all in, buying 87 shares. The first week, the price stayed between 318 rupees to 325 rupees. The second week, it moved to 330 rupees. Then suddenly, the company announced its quarterly result. Profits had just jumped into 40%. The stock shot up to 360 rupees in a single day. Over the next week, it touched 400 rupees. Sunil sold everything at 402, making a profit of 7,134 rupees, his biggest so far. Sunil's confidence grew, but he also remembered the loss from green energy. He had decided to keep a rule: never invest in something he did fully understand. Over the next 6 months, he made many trades. Some were quick wins, some were small loss, but overall, his account grew to 55,000. For the first time, he felt he was building real wealth. In late November, he noticed a company called Fresh Foods Ltd. It supplied packaged food in the market, and the winter season was at its peak. The share was at just 150 rupees. Sunil bought 300 shares of 45,000, keeping 10,000 in reserve. 2 weeks later, the company signed a deal with a big retail chain. The stock climbed steadily at 160, 170, 180. By New Year, it touched 200. Sunil sold, making a 15,000 profit in 1 month. His total capital was now 70,000, more than double what he had just started in the year. Sunil was no longer the boy who made 250 and celebrated like he won the lottery. He had discipline, patience, and grew a skill set. But he also knew the bigger the money, the bigger the test. What lay ahead would challenge not just his skills, but his courage. By the time Sunil hit his third year in the market, he was no longer the nervous beginner who once sat at a small table with 5,000 in his hand, wondering if the strange beast called the stock market would even acknowledge his existence. He had grown, not just in the portfolio size but in the skill, mindset, and the resilience. His account swelled up nearly to 38 lakhs, a number that once seemed like a distant fantasy. Every morning, he sat in his small, tidy home office, the hum of his laptop and the occasional chirp of the birds from the window being a soundtrack. His trades were sharper now. No more emotional overreactions, no more chasing hype. He had learned painfully that the market rewards patience and punishes arrogance. But here's the thing about success: it can't be double-edged sword. It whispers to you, "You are special, you can't lose now," and that whisper is dangerous. It began innocently enough. A fellow trader in his online group, someone Sunil respected, began talking about the particular mid-cap company in the renewable energy sector. This once future Sunil, the government policy shift to push towards the roof. "We are taking triple returns in a year," the man said during the late night at Zoom call. Sunil wasn't the type to take tips blindly anymore, but the charts, the fundamentals, they did look good strong. And the sector had indeed been catching, so he did what rarely did. He went big. Over 15 lakh of his capital into one stock, a 40% concentration in a single bet. The first 2 weeks were very much hyper-ristic. The stock climbed 12%, then 18%, then 24%. Sunil's WhatsApp notifications were full of congratulatory messages from his trading circle. His confidence ballooned. At dinner, his father, who once mocked his gambling, now said politely, "So, beta, this renewable thing, you think it will change India's future?" Sunil smiled. Sunil smiled. "Not just India's future, Papa, ours too. But the markets have a nasty habit of turning when you least accept." One crisp Monday morning, Sunil woke up to a news alert. Government imposes unexpected tax to renewable imports. Sector stocks tumble. Within the minutes of market open, his price stock gapped down by 12%. By noon, it was 18% down. His stop loss hit, which he had mentally set, remained unused. Why? Because it will back down. It will bounce back. It has to, he has told to himself. By the end of the week, his 15 lakh position was worth 9.5 lakh. In 4 trading sessions, he had 5.5 lakh loss. The loss was not just financial, it was emotional. For the first time in years, he avoided opening his trading platform for an entire day. He ignored calls from friends, he skipped his evening walk. At dinner, his mother noticed his silence and said, "What happened, beta?" she asked gently. He shook his head and said, "Bus, I am tired little bit." But inside, the fatigue was not of the body, it was the crushing weight of failure. 3 days later, Sunil did something that he didn't done in a long while. He pulled out his old notebook from his early days, the one who scribbled rules. Never risk more than 5% of capital on a single trade. Cut losses fast. Ride winners slow. Never fall in the love with a stock. Reading those lines felt like meeting his younger and wiser self. Somewhere along the way, he had drafted. He decided the loss would not define him. The next few months were about discipline. He reduced his position sizes, diversified more carefully, and even started rereading classic trading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad of a stock operator. He joined a small mastermind group of traders who reviewed each other's trades weekly. Slowly, his losses were recovered, not in a giant leaps, but in steady, patient steps. By the end of the year, he was back to 42 lakhs, and more importantly, his confidence was grounded, not inflated. It was the summer of the year when Sunil came across an opportunity that made his heart race. A small cap manufacturing company was about to release his quarterly results. His results showed explosive potential, a 300% of revenue growth quarter on quarter. This wasn't a tip, this was his own deep analysis. The kind that kept him up night, crossing checking numbers, reading every industry report. But here's the twist. A to truly capitalize, he would need to commit almost everything. A move that went against every rule he had just rerun. That week, during Sunday family lunch, his sister asked, "Brother, when you are earning this much, why you are not buying?" His father said, "Yes, we should buy a home now." Sunil smiled faintly. Little did they know the decision he was about to make could either buy that house outright or push him back to square one. For 2 nights, he barely slept. The charts looked perfect, the fundamentals were solid, but the risk was high. Finally, on a humid Wednesday morning, at the market bell rang, Sunil placed an order, not all in, but close enough to make his palms sweat. The die was cast. The results were due in 2 days. For 48 hours, every tick of the stock price felt like a heartbeat. Friends chatted in the group, speculating widely. Sunil stayed in silence. On the morning of the results, the market opened flat. By 10:30 a.m., the announcement hit the exchange. XYZ Manufacturing reports record-breaking profits, guidance raised for 2 next years. The stock hit the upper circuit within minutes. Sunil position was up 20%, then 25%, then locked at 30% of the day. Over the next 3 weeks, the rally didn't stop. By the time it cooled, Sunil 36 lakhs bet had turned into 48 lakhs. His portfolio crossed the 60 lakh mark for the first time. But this was the beginning because he didn't know yet what the company was to announce a mega one that would send the stock into a historic bull run. By the start of the new year, Sunil's account stood at 78 lakh. He was within striking distance of a milestone that he never dared to imagine, 1 crore. And then came the news leak. A trusted source hinted that the merger announcement was coming in the next quarter. This was it, the move that could make him a successful trader to a market legend among his peers. The question was, would he risk everything one last time? Sunil sat quietly on the balcony of his apartment, the city lights flickering in the distance like thousands of stars. The night breeze was cool, carrying it with the faint smell of the wet earth after a short drizzle. The sound of traffic in the far background was almost calming. He closed his eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. This was not the same Sunil for the 2 years ago. The boy who had only 5,000 in his hand and a million doubts in his heart. That Sunil had been scared, confused, and unsure if he would ever make it. But now, after endless struggles, sleepless nights, losses, and victories, he was sitting on the wealth of 3.5 crores. Yet, the money was not the only thing that had changed. The last leg of his journey had been the hardest. The stock market had turned unpredictable, political tensions were high, inflation numbers were rising, and investors across the country were in the panic mode. Many sold their holding out of fear. Sunil too felt the same pressure. The temptation of crash out was secured his profit. But then he remembered his rule. Never let fear be the reason you sell. Sell because your plan says so. He went back into his chart, his research notes, and his risk management plan. The fundamentals of the companies he had invested in were still strong. Their earnings were solid, their depth was low, and their growth potential was intact. The panic in the market was emotional, not logical. So instead of selling, Sunil doubted down. He reinvested part of his liquid cash into the stock as there is discounted price. It was a risky move, the kind that could either make a fortune or crush his portfolio. Weeks passed. The market stayed low for a while, and his portfolio looked red and screen every morning. Friends too told him, just take the money and run, but stayed calm. The slowly his tide began to run. The company resulted their quarterly report, which exceeds expectation. Confidence returned to the market, and prices started climbing. What was once a 30% dip in Sunil's portfolio turned into a 50% gain within months. That plan push he needed to cross 3 crores. With financial freedom, now he's free. Sunil started thinking about life beyond money. At first, he wanted to buy all the things he had once dreamed of, a bigger apartment, a luxury car, expensive watches. But when he actually had the means to buy them, he realized something important. The thrill of material things fades quickly. Instead, he began investing in experience. He took his parents on their first international trip, a week-long holiday in Switzerland. He watched his mother's eyes fill of tears when she saw snow for the first time. He saw his father, usually quiet and reserved, laughing like a child now on the mountain train ride. Those moments felt richer than any profit he had made ever in the market. But not everything was smooth. One unexpected event almost shattered everything he had built. One of the company had heavily invested in come under the government investigation for regulatory violations. The stock price crashed 40% in a single day. The media declared it the end for the company. Sunil could feel his chest tighten as he saw his portfolio value drop by lakhs in hours. For the moment, fear gripped him, but instead of making a rash decision, he took a step back. He researched the case thoroughly. Most of the allegations were exaggerated the news. The company had strong legal grounds to defend itself. He made another bold choice. He bought more shares at the lower price. Weeks later, the investigator concluded the company was cleared of major charges. The stock bounced back, giving him one the largest returns of his career. That incident taught him courage is not about ignoring fear, but about acting in spite of it. As Sunil wealth grew, so did his desire to help others. He began mentoring a small group of young investors, teaching them basics of financial literacy, risk management, and the patience. He remembered how lost he had felt at the beginning, and he wanted to be guide for ones who wished for. He created a small online community where members could share their investment ideas, ask questions, and learn from each other. He made it clear this was not about the stock tips or quick profits. It was about building discipline and knowledge. Within a year, several of his students had turned their modest saving into significant portfolios. Seeing their success gave a deeper satisfaction than making money for himself. The reflection. One quiet Sunday evening, Sunil sat with the journal and wrote down the lessons he had learned over these years. The list looked something like this. Start small, but start. Waiting the perfect time means you will never begin. Control your emotions. The market reward discipline, not panic. Never stop learning. Knowledge compounds like money. Have a plan. If you don't know why you are buying, you won't know when to sell. Value experiences over thing. Money is a tool, not the financial destination. A different kind of dream. One might think Sunil's dream was complete, but for him, this was just one chapter. With his financial base secure, he began exploring other ventures, real estate investment, startups, and even writing a book about his journey. His biggest dream now was not to make more money, but to create something that could help thousands of people to escape the insecurity. Months later, Sunil was invited to speak at a major investment conference. Standing at the stage in front of hundreds of aspiring investors, he shared his stories, the wins, the mistakes, the sleepless nights, and the victories. He ended with a single line. If a scared, confusing young man with 5,000 can turn it into 3.5 crore through patience, discipline, and courage, so can you. But remember, wealth is not just about numbers in your account, it's about the freedom to live your life on your terms. The audience stood and they were very much happy. And as Sunil walked off the stage, he felt something stronger than the pride. He felt purpose. Because in the end, the real profit was not about the 3.5 crore in his account, it was the person he had become along the way.